So we're really talking about this big idea here, that rate of change. And so we think of slope as the rate of change. So average rate of change is something that we've done before. This is pre-calculus and we already know how to do that. That's basically finding the slope between two different points. Instantaneous rate of change, this is at a specific point. This is what we're learning. It's calculus, but you already know how to do this. There's nothing new. It's just a new way to apply a tool that we already have. So average velocity, if we remember this from physics, we did the rate is equal to distance over the time. So the average rate of change, or the average velocity, has to be the change in distance divided by the change in time. And we use that as delta S divided by delta T, where S is talking about the position or the distance, and T is talking about time. So if we recall the trip to Duluth, and I know that this isn't the exact curve that I had before, but this is what it was meant to have. So over the course of this 3-hour time period, we traveled 150 miles. So the slope of the line segment connecting the endpoints of an interval on a distance versus the time graph is the average velocity on that interval. So the average velocity on this interval from 0 to 3 is, if I started at 0 at time 0, I was at 0 miles, and at time 3 hours, I'm at 150 miles. So I like to just kind of create my points here. So the way that we would find the average velocity of this is we would take that 150 miles, subtract it from our starting point, which was 0 miles, and then we would take our time and subtract it there, and this is going to give us 150 over 3, which ends up being 50 miles per hour. So that ended up being our average velocity, and that makes sense. Over the course of 3 hours, we needed to travel about 50 miles to make it, that total of 150 miles to get to Duluth. So now if we choose different points here, if we have like a different area where we did 0.5, so 0.5 was right here, and we went up to 1. And, I like to think of this section here as, we got on the expressway and we were cruising, and then we maybe hit some traffic or something, and, but we were making really good time at this point. So at this one, it's not quite half here, but it's getting closer to half. So let's just say that this was, we know that this is 50 miles, that's 100, this is 150. Let's say that this was around 20 miles, so at time 0.5, we were at 20 miles. And then up here, this is at time 1, it looks like we're at 75 miles. So I'm going to do 75 minus 20 over 1 minus 0.5. So this ends up being 55 over 0.5, or 110 miles an hour. And guess what? We were speeding. But notice how these average velocities are different. Now, what would happen if we wanted to know the instant velocity, the instantaneous velocity at a specific point? So at exactly 1.5 hours, if we drew that up here, we've got a point there, and we're trying to figure out what the slope is. And, we can estimate it by drawing, but it makes it a little bit harder. But at this moment, I know that it's following the slope of this line. So what I could do is maybe use this line, these 2 points, to figure it out. So this was 1, 75, and this is 2, 100. So anywhere in this point here, it should model that exact same velocity, because it looks like the tangent of that is going to be straight on that line. So in this scenario, I could do 100 minus 75 over 2 minus 1, which ends up being 25 miles per hour. And that was definitely a construction zone. We were going very slow. There was traffic, everything. Where this becomes an issue is, say, what if I had a different type of a curve, and from here to there, it was on some type of a curve like that. Say it looks something like this. If I wanted to know the point right here, where I'm marking it red, and the tangent line doesn't exactly match up with any of the other lines, that makes it a little bit challenging. But in this scenario, we could find the instantaneous velocity. So now we're going to look into what it's like to actually find it. So average versus instantaneous. So average was we took a point, the first point, B, and we subtracted it from point A. Or we subtracted point A from it. And that gave us the average velocity because that's, the change in distance over the change in time. The instantaneous velocity is what we're doing is we're taking that point and we're moving it closer and closer to that A. So if I had the graph right down below here of some type of a position curve here, so the instantaneous rate of velocity, and say it looked something like this. If I wanted to choose point A right here, this is A comma f of A, I'm choosing some B comma f of B, but I'm moving B super close to A where it actually ends up being A. So as I take the limit, what it's going to do is it's going to give me the tangent line right at that point, just like we've already been finding. And so what's great about this is this gives me the instantaneous velocity at a single point. So that's what this one does, is at any point A. But what would be really nice is, using this alternate form, at this point we could probably rewrite it in the general form. And so right here, this gives us at any time t. So we can model it. This just gives us at any point that we plug in A. This is at any time t. And so that change of t as it approaches 0, that s of t, we're approximating that tangent line right at that point. This is the instantaneous velocity at any point that is on that original position equation. And so that brings up the general form here of this idea of instantaneous velocity is v of t is the derivative, or s prime of t. It's the derivative of that position function.